So, hi everyone, this is the first in a series of live videos with some of our alumni in which we answer their questions related, of course, to the materials and topics covered in our university. So we've got Joanna on the line, and today we're going to answer a few questions related to starting a business, and in particular, how to choose what business to start. So hopefully Joanna has come up with a few answers, a few questions that will give us a chance to cover the basis here. Hello, Joanna.
Hello.
So your current situation is you're full-time employed in a company, but you don't like it very much. You would like to be more free and make more money and hopefully move. You're in Japan now, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so you like it, but you're staying in the office all day, and that's not so cool. So we try to fix that. And Joanna has volunteered to be our guinea pig for doing a test. I mean, if she doesn't quit, then we'll have a whole series of videos showing her progress. So, choosing a business. How should we start? Do you want to start with a question, or?
Maybe I would like to start with saying first the idea I had, and okay. I'm not sure if they are good, if they have a chance to work.
Okay, go ahead. Let's brainstorm a bit.
Okay, so first, since I'm living in Japan, and yeah, I'm interested in funny stuff. So first, everybody tells that when you start a business, it should be something you're interested about. And it's the best is the market you know very well. So I have two ideas of the business.
Okay, you came up with two different ideas.
Yes, I came up with two different ideas, and what I wanted to do at first was trying two things at the same time and check if they work out.
Okay, trying two things at the same time, okay.
Yes.
All right, so my opinion on that is that you're starting with exactly what I wanted to cover, which is the one biggest mistake that people make, which is understandable. It's not a problem that you're making this mistake, but you have to understand that it is a mistake, which is to try something. So the whole idea of trying something is just not the way this is done. This fundamental question where people are asking themselves, okay, I'm going to try something and see if it works, which most of the time really means, will people buy it? And if you start from there, you're sort of waiting for the environment to give you the answer. Whereas you have to make people buy it. And the question is, how do you make people buy it? And not will they buy it or not? Because people buy all sorts of things. So there's one negative aspect of this and one positive. The negative is that nobody needs anything from you. I mean, unless you discover a new way of creating energy, or unless you find a way to make people find their ideal mate instantly. But for most products, the overwhelming majority of products, it's not like you have something that people absolutely need. The reason for that is that whenever somebody needs something, there's somebody who takes that chance, comes in and provides it. And that's how capitalism works. So the idea that you're going to have something that no one else has could work in technology, but even in technology, it's very, very hard to come up with something nobody else has, because that comes from years and years of research and development, new materials. So it's really better to just abandon this concept because people have everything. That's the negative part. The positive side is that their lives are miserable and they suck. And they have been brainwashed since childhood that the way to fix that is buying shit. Whether they need it or whether they don't need it, they just buy things to feel better. So I'm not suggesting that you give them something completely useless, but it's going to be 20% usefulness, and 80% they're going to buy it because their life sucks, and so you're going to introduce them to this wonderful thing so that they will feel better. They feel, this is cool. I want it because it's cool. I don't want it just because I need it. Even if you sell toilet paper, as an example, which toilet paper do people buy? Either they buy the cheapest or they buy the one that's got the colorful illustration. And making the cheapest is really, really hard because there's always someone else willing to sell it for cheaper, even like at no profit. Like, have you ever heard of this strategy from big companies that they want to drive away a competitor? So they say, okay, we're going to take a loss here and we're going to flood the market with things at below cost. Nobody can beat that and make a profit. But if they do that, then they know everybody who buys the cheapest of something will get theirs. And so you, especially if you're beginning and you're a small business, you can't compete with that kind of strategy. On the other hand, if you make something that people think, well, this is cooler, for example, if you're going to buy the toilet paper, it's got the best illustration. This is really, really colorful. So naturally, people like to buy something that's attractive, makes them feel good in the moment. Then you can still sell it, even though it costs more. It's the same stuff. Okay. So to begin with, I would advise you to work on this and believe that anything you have, it can be sold. Anything at all. So the question is how you do it. And the answer to how you do it is about marketing, placement, building the right context, the right network, building the right distribution channels. That's it. So now you have two business ideas. There's really no need to do both and try which one works, because they will both work if you give them enough time. But on the other hand, if you're trying both, you only have half the time for both. So the chances of either one working when your time is half is much lower than half. So I would suggest you just pick one. And the main problem with people who are just new to business and to working by themselves is not competition, is not that people won't buy it, it's that they quit, because you have to face a kind of risk that you have literally never been exposed to before in life. Not only that, but everybody around you doesn't do it, so you will never see it working. If your parents, if your dad, your mom were all entrepreneurs, which I don't know if they are, but if they were all entrepreneurs, then you would have seen it work since you were a child, and then it would be much easier. But because for most people that's not the case, also your friends, if you work in an office, the people that you interact with daily, they're not in business for themselves. You've never seen it working, so psychologically, your brain is going to try to force you to stop it because it thinks that you're taking a huge risk, investing a lot of energy, and you have no guarantee because you can't see the end of it. So the main risk is that you quit it. So the way to really choose is which is the one that I like so much that if I didn't need the money, I would still do it because I like it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's how you choose it. So in your two options, is there one that if you didn't have to work, you already had unlimited freedom, unlimited money, you'd still say, yeah, I want to do this because it's fun? Is there one like that?
Yes, there's one.
Okay, perfect.
In one of these, I'm much more interested.
Okay.
So, okay, so because from the things you said,
Mm-hmm.
I had this questions before, but I already came up with, like, from what you say, I have to ask 3 questions considering what you have said till now. Okay, so first question is that because you told that. Okay, so what should I start? Okay, so for example, if I know that I have a product that nobody else have, and I know that there are some people that need that product. Okay. But the market is very small. Mm-hmm. So then, is it worth trying till the end, or better not to pursue this kind of idea? Well, okay, so how small is the market? Is it like $10 a year? Then it's too small, but can it feed you? Can it give you the freedom that you want? If everybody in that market got something from you, would that be enough? I mean, I think that's the thing I cannot predict right now.
Okay, that's understandable that it's not easy to predict.
Yeah, and so there comes even a different question I was thinking
okay, but
about.
the way to think about this is two ways. How much money are you making right now? And how much money do you need so that you don't stop trying something? So that you're not forced to get a job, otherwise you have nothing to eat. Whichever of those two numbers is lower, then you should base it on that and see, is the market size big enough that it can at least feed me? I give you another perspective. The other perspective is from strategy. If you have a market that's very, very big, it's much harder for you as an individual to go in. So what we want to do with our university is give single people, not single because they don't have a boyfriend, but I mean single individuals, the ability to do something for themselves and not have to be slaves in some office. So we're not talking with people who've got a huge amount of money to start with, or partnerships. You know, if you have a huge distributor who's your friend, you can sell anything. Imagine if you had, what do they have there in Japan? They have big camera, for example. In big camera, whatever you put in there, some people are going to buy it, right? They just have too many stores. So we're talking to people that don't have that. So if you don't have anything, you're starting literally from scratch, then you're small. You're a one-person army. So if you go for a market that's too big, it's nearly impossible to enter. Say, for example, if you're developing electronic products, as an example, because I'm familiar with that. Imagine you want to come out with a new cell phone. Nearly impossible to get into this market because the big people like Samsung and so on and so forth have the money to get certification from Bluetooth to embed the hardware, or they have huge manufacturing plants where they can get their construction costs down to a very, very low number. They have agreements with the OEMs to shove applications in the phone so they make money from marketing as well. You've got no chance. But if you're building a small thing that nobody's done before with a very, very small market, you're the only person. And you continue to be the only person because Samsung doesn't give a shit. They don't want your market because to get your market, they have to hire people and it costs them more than they're making. So you have to start from a small market. In war strategy, when you attack a country, you don't want to just bomb all the cities at once. You want to find one place in which there is less defense that has been neglected and that maybe has low strategic value. This doesn't apply in all circumstances, but if you can get a place where the people are not happy and get into there, get at least 1 square kilometer of land where now you're inside, that helps you tremendously because of many things. For example, you build a reputation. Let's say you make a trimmer for anal hair, and then now there's only a few people that want a trimmer for anal hair. Maybe it's Bluetooth. Something to cut off your ass hair, for example, that's connected by Bluetooth. I'm just giving a stupid example of a really worthless product.
Okay.
But you're going to have some people that say, well, that's amazing. I always wanted it. And then when you get them and you show them that your brand is good, you do good customer support, it's actually far easier than people think to expand and then say, well, now we're going to make a generic razor. Whereas if you want to go after a generic razor, people don't know you, and so it's very difficult. So it's much easier for a beginner to pick a market that's too big than a market that's too small. I give you another example. When you go to investors, and a lot of people that are trying to do, for example, in the software or high-tech business, they go to investors and they say, well, this is a $3 billion market. And the investors just laugh in their face, or they say, well, pat on the back, thank you very much. You can go now. We're in the next. Because just because the market is big, it doesn't mean that you can get those people. The real question is how many people can you get to buy your stuff? The market size, if you're just one person, is nearly irrelevant because nearly any market at all can feed you at least and can allow you to expand to other niches. So now you're going to tell me what the idea is, because just in case it's really ass trimmers, maybe I'll say, no, that's too small for real. But normally people worry about this and they shouldn't, and it's good to pick a small market.
Okay, so So also that was was my idea. Okay, so the main idea is that I'm living in Japan and I can speak Japanese and I know the manga market in Poland.
Okay.
So very easily you can buy in Poland manga translated to Polish, but you cannot buy manga in Japanese. And there are some people who learn Japanese and who would be willing to. I know that there are people who would be willing to buy that.
Okay, so it's manga in Japanese, no translation at all. So you just buy it and sell it.
And then I was thinking about second thing.
Mm-hmm.
If I was selling translation, manga translation, I could also send different thing at the same time. For example, I could analyze few sentences of this manga and explain grammar and sell this together with the manga.
Right.
And that's the question I wanted to ask you about. For example, if I enter some business, do I need to have the ready idea in the beginning, or I can develop it on the way? Because what I was thinking about, I was thinking that first I could. First thing I was planning to do is to send some mangas to Poland, and check if they sell. And if I knew I could sell this manga without translation, then I could try preparing some different things. Also this translation and analysis of the grammar, and sell that together with that. Because the problem is that it doesn't take a big time to take manga to send that to Poland and put on some website. But if I was to check if I can sell these translation notes, I have to spend a lot of time preparing them.
Right.
Yeah, so...
Well, you already bring up so many things that maybe we stop here and I start trying to answer. First of all, I have said against trying something, but the way you're describing now, I think is positive, which is, you know who your kind of target market mind space is. So it's the same kind of people who might be interested in buying just a comic book in Japanese, or might be interested in buying a comic book in Japanese with the notes. It's the same kind of people. So here you're not really trying to see if they will buy your stuff. You're diversifying your offering and leaving options open. So I think that's very good. Changing the thing that you're selling halfway is something that happens in most businesses, because what happens is that you get some data. In the beginning, all the data you have is, what am I good at? What do I like to do? And what kind of people do I know? And I don't mean knowing people, but knowing the mind of some type of people. Like if you can get inside their mind and figure out how they will respond emotionally to some stuff, then you have a hook into that market, which big companies normally don't know. They don't know their market that well. They're not insiders. So I think the idea here, it makes sense. You can offer both and see which one they find more interesting. Now, your question about should you put them online or actually create a physical product, here's the point from my experience. Putting them online has very low risk. So what you could do is sell the actual manga, which they will want the hard copy, I suppose, and then sell a subscription to the online translations. That's one thing you could do. Or you could sell the online translations piece by piece. In fact, you can even give a free preview, or even better, you can give the beginning of each chapter of each episode, especially if you're selling a series of manga, where if they buy one, then they're going to want to read the next. I think that's easier to sell multiple times than having completely different manga, but I wouldn't know exactly. And so you could have the beginning of the first, second, and third episode, or give them a full episode number one and then the beginning of the second, so that they know what they're getting. They're motivated to tell you is it good or not, and then to get the end of the episode, they have to pay. You could do that, but keep in mind another thing, that is, people are willing to pay more for physical products. And I just happen to have a little bit of knowledge in this field, but normally I wouldn't be able to advise if this was completely different. But Japanese publications are beautiful, They are printed with very nice paper. They have beautiful covers, soft covers, and people who read Japanese stuff, whether it's manga or grammar books or anything of that sort, they really like to touch and own and feel a Japanese book because it's just beautiful. So if you could make something that gives them that, which they already know, they're already used to liking, and make notes that are printed in color beautifully, and they give them the same, kind of feeling of value as owning the manga itself. That I think would be very nice, but you don't have to start from the beginning. It's just an idea, because you could charge a lot more for this than for other stuff. In fact, don't Japanese books normally cost a lot? Like you have grammar overviews that cost $50 or $70. You have dictionaries that cost $100. So they're already used to knowing that's value, and they're ready to pay for that. Whereas if you sell something online, who knows? You might be able to sell one for $1 or $2. If you say $5 for notes, already I'm not sure, but you have to do some tests on that. Whereas maybe printed material, you could sell it for $10.
Okay, so in this case, there is no point in doing the first step that I wanted to do. Just first try selling manga itself and check if it sells. Instead of that, I should already prepare whole thing.
Okay, so think about market penetration. If you want to penetrate a market, it's easier if you have something that other people don't know and don't have. So the question is, do you have any competition for selling Japanese manga in Poland? If not, then no problem. Both ways are just fine. But if you have other competition, but other people don't have the language notes, then you have an advantage that it's only yours. And if they have language notes, but they're not pretty, they're made like shit, printed in black and white with shitty characters, then you still have an advantage because yours are beautiful. Now, of course, to make them beautiful, you have to spend money. So maybe you don't start from that.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking about starting from just selling the manga itself, and then think about the next step if I want to develop to that.
Well, if you want to start with zero capital, you could start selling the notes online without the manga. Then you don't need to ship anything internationally, no duty fees. You don't have to put up any capital. You don't need to have stock. You're just producing digital content, and you make it really nice just online. Then from that, when you have some money, you start selling actual manga, because now you can buy them before you sell them. Then when you have money from that, then you make the beautiful kind of language notes in print. That's how you expand.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so then I go to my next question.
Because your first goal is to quit your job as soon as possible. As long as you have a job, you can't do a lot of work for your business. So the immediate concern is to quit that so you can do this other thing full time. And so making enough money to eat is really the main challenge.
Yes, so I think it's not possible to quit, to do nothing, quit full-time job, and then start earning money from the business. It's not that you always have to start doing something while you have a full-time job. And then when
for most people, yes, because you do have the job right now. So unless you want to quit it cold turkey, as it were, it's like an addiction. But you also have to calculate your expenses carefully. How much does it cost you to live in Poland with the minimum possible amount of money? What can you do for your housing so you don't have to pay rent? What can you do for food so you don't have to buy expensive things to eat? And how long can you go on like that? If you reduce your expenses, you make it much easier to replace your income and quit your job, and things go much faster. And you can calculate, if I sell these language notes, be very, very conservative. You're going to sell them for like $1.99 online. It's so little that people say, what the fuck, I'm going to get it anyway, right? How many do you need to sell?
Yeah, but the other thing with selling content online, if I sell them online for $1.99, everything which is sold online is very easy to copy. So people can just, the same like music. Somebody pay for that, and then even if it's cheap, they will start sharing with each other.
Okay, so with digital content, it's impossible to protect yourself online. People will copy it and they will share it. The way you fix that is either you're very good at finding a way to protect that, but really with music, you can do it a little bit because the quality when you record it gets reduced. But you would have to use a special protected platform. Perhaps you can do it on the iPhone. I don't think you can do it on a PC because on the PC, whatever comes out of your audio card can be captured exactly as is with no loss of quality. For visual things, it's even harder because there's always a screenshot. But okay, you can make it inconvenient to copy it. For example, let's say that these things get visualized page by page and that you have to scroll to see the whole thing. So it's not just one page that you can view in one time, but it's a long page that you have to scroll. Now to copy it, you have to take a screenshot, take another screenshot, paste them in Photoshop, align them properly, and save them. Now you've made it harder to copy them, okay? So this is the technical way, but I don't think it's the best way. The best way is to just simply don't have an anonymous business. Show yourself, show your face, show that you're trying to start a business and that you're not rich. And so people will kind of like you. And also for the price, you make it affordable.
I mean, for me, it's easy because I was working with translating the mangas in Poland. So if I showed myself and I tell I was doing that, yeah, maybe they can like me more and they can trust more in what I'm doing.
Yes, I mean, they have to feel bad about themselves for copying it more than they feel bad about spending $2. So, you know, there's always going to be some people that just don't give a shit that will try to copy it anyway. But most people, they see a young girl trying to make her own money for, you know, she's just charging $2. And it's not like you didn't do anything for this. You had to go to Japan. You had to learn Japanese. So there's some study behind. So I think a lot of people are just going to feel like shit stealing $2 from a person that they can actually see the face. So I think that's the best way to protect yourself is to make them like you.
Okay.
Because online, it's true that some people will always try to copy, especially if it's a big business or a corporation and they think, fuck these people, they're making millions and they're not really doing anything. They just have the channel, blah, blah, blah. But some other people are going to say, you know what, I like this person and I want to support them. So in fact, some people will donate even though you're not selling anything. It helps if you can show them some kind of mission that you say, I learned Japanese, but it was really, really hard because I had to read some shitty, boring books and show them the books. And then now I want to make it easier for other people to learn Japanese. And so you show them that you're kind of idealistic in what you're doing. You're not just trying to make money so you can, I don't even know what, you can buy a Ferrari or something. Mm-hmm. I think these things can protect you, but the point still exists. Some people will copy it. So you can start from this and then add stuff later. I mean, add the physical print later. But these are points, you know, there's a lot of things that you just can't help. And like in school, or if you work in a company, there's always a right choice. The right choice is whatever makes your teacher happy or your boss happy or it gives you a good grade. But in reality, if you do something difficult, especially business, there's always compromises. So you figure out which decisions are really shitty, exclude those, and then try the other ones until you find something that works.
Okay, so now the question, because some ideas might not work. So when I start the business and I see it's not working, so how can I feel that if I should continue and be persistent, or if it doesn't work, it's not working, I should quit? I don't know if you know what I mean, though.
Okay, well, the answer is never. If you decide to start and you already think, well, if A, B, and C, then I'm going to quit, guarantee your brain is going to make you see those things. Yeah, I haven't made money in a year. If I get a job, you know how much money I would have made in a year, blah, blah, blah. This is definitely case A, B, and C. So it's the same question like, how important is it? That's the question. Because like if you have a child what's the right answer to, if the child really cannot walk after a while, when do I give up? The answer is never, because it's too important. So if you think your freedom is too important, to say never, to say it's too important to quit or to not get, then the answer is never. But of course, the other question that is probably what you're asking is, when is it a good time to change completely? And I think in 99% of the situations, that time is also never. Because if you remember, we didn't choose this because you say, there's a nice market there. You chose it because you like it. And it's guaranteed that if you really, really like something, when you make it, people will notice that. As I said before, people don't buy products. They already have all the products they want. If they just have the money, they can buy anything. But what is really rare is not the product, but it's the passion. It's the scarce resource. It's scarcer than money. So if somebody with a passion starts doing something, even if somebody else is already doing it, but you have the passion, you make it beautiful, you make it perfect, then you're having an emotional impact. And people today are starved of emotions because their lives are miserable, they suck, they work they're like cogs inside the machine. Everything is gray and sterile. So when they see the passion, immediately they want something, even though they don't need it. So really choose well in the beginning, so that then you can answer never.
So if I choose a business in the beginning, I should be persistent no matter what.
I think that is really the right answer for most people. That if you choose something you really, really like, eventually you can make it work. Maybe with some minor modifications, right?
Okay, and then I had one
so
more
you have
question.
to be sure, you have to be sure you really like it.
Yes, that's
what is the one business where if everything goes to shit and you're not making money after 5 years, you still want to go ahead and do it because you like it, and because when you get one customer that pay $199 and he sends you an email and says, this is great, but it's just this person, you're still happy. So choose according to that, and then just don't quit it.
No, because so the next question I want to ask, because you partly answered this question I wrote before myself. I wrote on paper before, but you told that people buy emotions, not the product. Yeah. So one of the things I should think about first is how I make them buy that. But when I was reading on the internet all these manuals how to start a business, usually first thing you do, I don't remember how it's called, but the point is that we have a product. For example, if I had only mangas without translation, so what should I do? I should put it on eBay, Amazon, and experiment with prices and check if people buy that. And then if they buy that, if I know it can make money, then I think about advertisement. So it's not.
Yeah, it's a different approach, I understand. So that's confusing, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, if you just want to make money and you don't give a shit what you're doing, I think that's what you need to do. Put anything on eBay. Don't just sell manga, sell vacuum cleaners, sell everything. But here's the problem. Everybody's doing that. So do you have manga on eBay? Yeah, you do. Do you have vacuum cleaners? Sure you do. You already have everything because people follow that algorithm.
Yeah, so, not totally, because
no.
Yeah, Polish. For example, I was checking this. It's called Allegro, Polish eBay.
Okay.
They don't have many manga in Japanese there.
All right.
And even if there is, it's very expensive.
Why is it more? Like, how much more than the regular manga is it?
How much more? Like, what do you mean?
You're saying the price on this website is more than more than how much? Because they're anyway distributors, so probably they pay taxes on that. They pay VAT. In Poland it's probably like 20%. So if something costs 1,000 yen in Japan, it's $10. When it arrives in Poland, you're already paying at least $13 for it. So how much do you think a $10 manga is sold for on this website? Are they charging like $20, $40, or?
No, I mean, for example, I was thinking about manga which is not new, which is because in Japan I can sell the products which are not new on a very good price, and so this kind of manga, for example, in Poland is it's like €7.
Okay.
But in Japan, I can buy that for €1. And of course, there's also the price of selling that to Poland.
Okay, but I have a problem with that way of selling that. If it's secondhand, it's probably something that you have to be specifically interested in that manga to get it, right? Somebody that's looking for it. So it seems to me that if you do like that, you're going to keep these things in stock for a long time. And so if you need stock, then how are you competing with people who have more money? Because maybe they can buy 1,000 different manga and then wait until somebody wants that specific one. But what about you? How many can you buy and send them? And imagine you buy all of those things and you say, I can sell them cheaper, fine, but you're selling one every 3 months, then it's not a business.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you can do an experiment and see if, because you want to avoid competing on the price. Unless there's somebody that's just batshit crazy and insane and they're buying things for $3 and selling them for $150, then you say, well, fuck you, I'm going to sell it for a reasonable price. But if they are like €7 and you say, well, I'm going to sell it for €5, you're competing on price, first of all. So as an individual, you don't have an advantage there competing on price. It's difficult. Maybe if you live in Japan and you can get them easier, you don't need to go through middlemen, okay, you can do that. But you need to at least have volume. You also have to consider if they're an established brand. If it's something like eBay, maybe you don't need to worry about that. But just in case for other people, if they have some brand that already exists and you come in and you sell it for cheaper, but nobody knows you, then people might still prefer to use the bigger brand. At least their credit card is safe. At least they've ordered before. There's also such a thing as loyalty. So the way that these people are suggesting that you just look at things that are overpriced and sell them, they make you sell a commodity. A commodity is something that can be had. It's just a matter of how much it costs, like water, electricity, bread, water, right? If you start doing something like that, it's not very defensible. Because the way you defend something like that is by having distributorship agreements, a lot of money, and being big. When you're big, you can defend a commodity. But when you're small, it's extremely difficult to defend. So maybe you're successful. Maybe you go in and you do all the work and you find the manga, buy 1,000 of them, put on the market for €6. Now they got it for €7, you got it for €6. And they look at that and say, well, fuck this person. We're going to sell them for €5 until she goes out of business. And they can do it. So then you're fucked. So I think it's better to create a brand. And when you have a brand that people like, then you don't have to compete on the price. And your risk is much smaller. Because who's going to want the fucked up black and white study notes from this person that is writing Japanese with the wrong font because they don't even know Japanese typography, so they make it look like crap? Why do I have to buy from them when I can get your stuff that's colorful and I can see that you really like to do it, and so on and so forth? So I suggest not listening to that advice because everybody's doing it. It's hard to replicate. The market is saturated. It's not easily defensible. And finally, if you compete like that, how can you love what you're doing if you're just competing on price? Let's say you're competing on price. Now you can only charge, I don't know, $3 for the printed study notes. And you say, well, I want to make it beautiful. I want to print it in color now, and I make it look like a real Japanese publication. You can't do that because the market is already used to $3. And if you print in color, you can't make money anymore. So it prevents you from following the first strategy that I outlined, which is to make it really, really good, you see? So for all these reasons, I suggest you ignore this advice that they're giving you and focus on the way I said.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yes. Yes, it does. So, so on the other hand, if I was to, I shouldn't. There's no need to try and check the market first. So, and first I should focus on doing the good notes and making a brand, and for example, making a website, and then go on the market.
I think what you have to do is reduce your risk a little bit. Don't invest like 5 years making the notes perfect and then figure it out, but start with something, anything, as soon as possible, and then make it better and better and better as you go along. Because you want to start making money right away. And even though you decided this is what I like to do, I'm not going to quit, I'm going to just try things until it works, still you get input from your users. The only reason you would not want to do that is if you have something that other people don't know you're doing, and it's got to be like a secret. And if you put it out and it's not good enough, then other people are just going to come in and do it better. So, I mean, there is a risk in launching something, right? Let's say in Poland, nobody's ever worried about study notes, but you start doing it, but you start small, and so they're still kind of a little bit like not printed very beautifully, and some people see what you're doing and they make them better. But remember one thing, that nobody has the passion, and these guys are just trying to make money by selling anything at all. So in the end, I think if you really like to do it, then they have no chance of competing against you in making it better, especially if you understand the mind space of these people. So I would say start as soon as possible. Don't wait until everything is perfect, and start getting data from users, understand what they like or not like. Like, for example, I'm just throwing ideas. If you could like make the page numbers on the notes the same as the page numbers on the manga, then it's very easy to find what page you're reading. Whereas if you put everything as small as possible to save your printing costs, then it becomes harder to look up and see where is it. So this is a choice that you have to make. Do you want to lower your printing costs, or do you want to make it easier to find it? And how important is it that it's easier to find at the expense of paying more for printing? You don't know until you start selling something and you get the feedback.
I think I got lost in this moment.
Okay, I'm just saying that you have to start as soon as possible so that you start to understand the preferences of people, even though you already understand their mind space, and that's why you chose this business. Concretely, what things are they going to want to pay for is a little bit different, because then they have to really pay money. So if you give them two options, do you want the color notes for €4, or do you want a black and white notes for €3? You have to put yourself in the position to carry out these experiments as soon as possible.
This one I understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
So have we done half an hour? Because originally I wanted to keep every video to half an hour. Other people are just going to check out and start eating popcorn and fall asleep in front of the video.
I wasn't checking the time, but I think it was half an hour.
You think so? Did I answer all your questions about how to choose a business, or at least did I answer enough so that now you can do more research and more work by yourself?
Yes, I had one more question, but I think you kind of answered that. I wanted to ask if it's worth, for example, if I wanted, again, like checking if the market is it worth or not. If it's worth, for example, before I start something, asking people on forums and making a survey on what they want.
No, you can't check on forums, because people are just going to answer bullshit. Do you want this sandwich? Sure. Then you go and make it and say, yeah, it's $15. Man, no, thank you. So the best way is to at least pretend that you're already selling it. Even if you have to lie, it doesn't matter. Make a homepage, make a fake credit card check-in screen so that they have to put in their credit card and see how many people give you the data. If they do give you the data, just say, hey, this was just a marketing test. Your card was not processed, but you're on our mailing list. We're going to make it. We're going to give it to you. Sorry. Okay? And at least you get a true answer. Okay?
Okay, I understand.
Perfect.
So I think that's all from the questions I had.
Great. So we'll talk again in the next episode. Lastly, after each video, we're going to ask the students to address their boss and tell him, kiss my ass, because this is Kiss My Ass University. So tell your boss what you want to tell him.
Me?
Tell your boss, yeah. Kiss my ass.
Yes.
Okay, good. That's the spirit. All right, thank you, and we'll talk soon.
Okay.
Bye.